The night the world began to flicker, Aiden Cross was sitting alone in his dim apartment, staring at the silence between the seconds. He had always felt like time carried secrets he wasn't supposed to hear, but lately those secrets had started whispering back. It began with reflections, mirrors showing movements he hadn't made, shadows lagging a moment behind. At first, he blamed sleep deprivation. He had spent weeks working on an experimental temporal scanner for Chronodyne Industries. The device was meant to read anomalies in the fabric of time, detecting temporal echoes caused by future energy disturbances. Nobody at the company truly believed the future could leak into the present, but the investors loved the idea. What Aiden didn't expect was for the prototype, TS-01, to actually work, and worse, to show him something that should never be seen. One evening, while testing the scanner, the display pulsed blue, then white, and finally stabilized on an outline, a human figure, standing right behind him. He spun around in panic, but no one was there. Yet, in the scanner's reflection, the figure remained. It was him. Same posture, same face, same jacket, except the eyes. His future echo had eyes empty like dead stars. The future Aiden lifted a hand on the display, desperately reaching toward the present version of himself. Then the image rippled violently. The scanner shut down. Aiden felt the cold brush of fingers across the back of his neck, and he bolted out of a lab before the lights finished dying. Over the next few days, he began noticing strange disturbances. Streetlights dimming as he walked by, electronic devices glitching at his touch, and people freezing for half a second before returning to motion, unaware anything had happened. Along with the anomalies came the dreams. He saw a shattered sky, buildings suspended mid-collapse, and countless transparent figures drifting like smoke through the air. Their faces were human, but distorted by fear and regret. They weren't ghosts from the past. They were ghosts of people who hadn't died yet. Ghosts of tomorrow. Aiden confided in his friend Mira, a brilliant physics student with a mind sharp enough to challenge his theories. When he told her what the scanner showed, she didn't laugh. She didn't even look surprised. Instead, she pulled out a notebook filled with sketches, equations, and diagrams. "I've been seeing them too," she whispered. She explained that she'd been experiencing temporal bleed-through, visions of events that hadn't happened yet. At first she dismissed them as hallucinations, but they became too consistent, too real. And now, with Aiden's scanner confirming the existence of temporal echoes, she feared something catastrophic was approaching, a collapse of the time stream itself. Together, they activated the scanner again, hoping to get a clearer reading. As the device warmed up, the air thickened with a low hum. The walls trembled. The lights flickered. And then the lab dissolved into a swirling storm of fragmented time. They stood in the same room, yet not. The floor cracked like broken glass, showing glimpses of different timelines beneath, moments that had never happened and others that shouldn't have. Standing across from them were dozens of future echoes of themselves, all fading in and out like dying signals. Some versions of Aiden were older, some injured, some burned, and some wearing a strange metallic suit. But the worst was the Aiden from his first vision, the one with dead eyes. He stepped forward, raising a trembling hand toward them. "You don't have much time." The future Aiden's voice sounded like it traveled through water. "The tear is already forming. Chronodyne caused it. You have to stop the activation tomorrow night." The echoes behind him flickered violently, as if being pulled away by unseen forces. If it completes, the future collapses, and the collapse spreads backward. We become shadows. The world becomes a graveyard of half-born realities. Every choice you never made, every possibility that never happened, they all bleed into the present. That's what you've been seeing. The ghosts aren't dead, they're undone. Before they could ask questions, a shock wave tore through the room, pulling the echoes back into the fracture like pieces of paper in a storm. Aiden and Mira were thrown to the ground. When they opened their eyes, everything was normal again. The scanner was powered off. The visions were gone. But something had changed. Aiden now felt a faint presence everywhere he went, as if the future versions of himself were following him, guiding him. Determined to prevent the disaster, they infiltrated Chronodyne the next evening. The company was preparing to unveil TS-02, an upgraded version of the temporal scanner that would fire a stable energy pulse into the time fabric. According to the future echo, that pulse would trigger the catastrophic tear. As they sneaked into the main lab, the facility suddenly locked down. Sirens blared. A monotone voice announced, "Temporal anomaly detected." The lights dimmed, and the world shuddered violently. A wave of transparent human figures swept through the walls, ghosts of tomorrow, screaming silently, trapped between existence and erasure. Mira grabbed Aiden's arm. "We're out of time, literally. Shut it down." Aiden sprinted to the main console, but the system required a biometric key from Dr. Halden, Chronodyne's director. Out of nowhere, a ghostly version of Halden stepped from the shadows, his timeline already collapsing. His hands were shaking as he pressed them against the console. I didn't know this would happen." The machine responded to his biometric imprint, and the shut-off sequence initiated. But before it could complete, the tear began forming in the center of the room, a swirling vortex of fractured time, devouring everything in its path. The ghosts screamed in agony as they were pulled into it. Aiden felt the pull too, his body stretching into different versions of himself. Mira grabbed him, anchoring him. "Aiden, fight it. Focus on one future, one where we survive." He locked eyes with her and focused on a single possibility, imagining a future where the world remained whole. The machine's shutdown sequence reached the final phase. A massive shockwave burst through the lab, collapsing the tear inward like a dying star. The ghosts were sucked in, the vortex folding in on itself until it vanished with a blinding flash. Silence. The lab was dark. The machines were destroyed. Aiden and Mira lay on the floor, gasping. Outside, the world seemed unchanged. No ghosts. No flickering. No distortions. Aiden looked at the broken scanner. "Did we fix it?" Mira shook her head slowly. "We stopped the collapse, but time remembers everything." As they walked out of the ruined lab, Aiden caught a glimpse of the window's reflection, and saw not one reflection, but two. His future echo stood beside him, still watching, still waiting. And then it faded, leaving behind only a whisper in his mind. The future is never silent.